Hello and welcome to Beyond Boundaries. Today we are joined by Tim von D from Simfuni. Tim, hello.
Hi, Matt.
How are you doing?
Great.
So recently we've had Sean Quincy on Beyond Boundaries, and we had a great chat about all things entrepreneurship, business, a whole bunch of other things.
I'm sure he chewed your ear quite thoroughly.
A lot of conversation. It was good. Yeah. It was good. Today we are going to get a little bit more into the business. Yeah, we're going to look at the product, look at the future potential, look at the opportunities that you guys have as a business. Before we do that, can I ask you a quick introduction to who Tim von D is?
Okay, great. Well, I started out in the typical joke for us is that, at 5 years old, I'd always wanted to be in the insurance industry, right?
Naturally.
Yeah.
All of us.
No. So fell into the industry. I actually started out as a face-to-face advisor. This is going back about 25 years. This is when the internet was really kicking off. You'll remember that time where a company website was basically a digital version of a paper brochure, right? And so at that time, it was just starting to change. People were starting to think of actually doing stuff online. Here in New Zealand, there was quite a lot of early adoption of online banking, for example. People use New Zealand as a bit of a petri dish for banking. We thought maybe we could start to kind of benefit from this change of behavior, and we started to put kind of insurance experiences online. So that was the genesis of my first startup, which became co-founded with another couple of fellas, which became a business called Life Direct.
Okay, very cool.
And that turned into New Zealand's largest life insurance and health insurance comparison website. Still going very strong today. Out of the back of that business, we rolled out another couple of startups which went very well for us. I can maybe talk about that a bit later, but the Life Direct business was a 10-year journey. So it was, it's quite typical, but when you're a founder, 10 years feels like a very, very long time. So we were very happy to sell that business to a New Zealand business called TradeMe, which is New Zealand's equivalent of eBay, I guess. They're the dominant player here. And for us and our staff, that was the perfect acquirer for our business. So that was my start and my intro into the insurance space.
Okay, but I don't know you from that, right? Because I know you from Partners Life. Was that then next for you guys going into corporate?
Yeah, so I did my career in a roundabout way, really, because I started in startups and then moved to corporate.
Sure.
Partners Life came a bit later. I tried to get out of insurance for a while. Went to work for the National Museum of New Zealand for a while. That was great. Heading up innovation in the kind of culture and heritage sector. Okay. We ran like an accelerator program there. Great experience, but very deep and very emotionally taxing. So it was kind of a one and done scenario for me, going, anyone that's been involved in accelerator programs knows that if you're in there in the trenches with them, it's, never a dull moment. So anyway, back into the insurance space. I knew the founder and CEO of Partners Life, a woman by the name of Naomi Ballantyne. And she tapped me on the shoulder to come in and help build some digital products for them. And then that was great.
When was this? When did you join those guys?
I think that was 2018, about then. So the business had grown famously well, second in the market in terms of new business and in-force book. Across a period of 10 years, they'd gone from nothing to second in the market. Incredibly kind of entrepreneurial spirit, still to this day. Probably a different business now. The business has been purchased by Deutsche Life, as you know. But I was in that business throughout that acquisition as well, which was great. It was fantastic, a great opportunity and experience for me to kind of see what that looks like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we were at the time Partners Life was purchasing a bank assurance business.
Okay.
And at exactly the same time, Deutsche Life was purchasing Partners Life, so it was like a small fish, medium fish, large fish situation.
Did all those deals
at the same time? Yeah. So it was a great time to be in that business.
And then more recently, Simfuni, right?
Yep. So I met Sean. Sean and I used to sit on the leadership group for InsurTech NZ. Got to know him. He's a pretty easy guy to get to know and get to like. And we just at that same time, the Simfuni business was starting to kind of pivot more squarely into life insurance, and I think Sean knew that a bit more subject matter expertise and a bit more experience, which I had after my a few scars on my back for 20 years in the industry could bring in. And so, I joined as Chief Product Officer about 6 months ago.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, and it's been a great ride, getting back into the trenches.
Yeah, sure. How is it? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. So I guess, when I said I did my career in a funny kind of way, startup's easy when you don't have other stuff to care about, because you can devote your whole self to it. And, back at, the early days when I was in that space, I didn't have kids and so forth. And kids came along, the corporate life, while still full on, you still give yourself to work. The work-life balance is probably a bit better. But now I've got 2 teenage girls. They don't want to spend time with me anyway. I've got time now to get back in. Yeah,
good stuff. And so tell me a little bit more about the role, and maybe even just talk about the product, right? Okay. So we've touched on it a little bit with Sean, but let's just recap a little.
Yeah. So we've built a policy administration system. It's funny, it's not a term I like, and yet it's such a ubiquitous term that we kind of have to use it. Sure. We tried to think of being more about customers than policies. But anyway, a policy administration system, life and health space, started out closed books, and have either through good management or just good luck kind of being able to move as we bring on new customers, closed book, open book, building the product out. And now we have an end-to-end life insurance policy administration system built on kind of very modern tech, with the advantage of starting with a clean sheet of paper. There's still lots and lots of challenges. It's complex work. We still have to do, detailed data migration, getting people off old pay. There's a lot of complexity, but wherever possible, we've tried to bring a new lens to what we're doing.
And you've had, so we've talked over the years, right? And I know you have a very global perspective of what's going on, and I think from a Simfuni perspective, I think that's going to be a massive attribute, right, to the value that you can bring. In terms of the maturity of the product, right? I mean, you're a young business, relatively well capitalized, and on the journey, of course. Where do you sit in the market right now? Do you have the strength of product that actually you can just pop into a business, you can do a little bit of work and then off they go? Or is it you're fine-tuning, you're evolving, you're tailoring, you're iterating, etc.?
Well, it's certainly, you don't have to go back very far where it was the latter. Mm-hmm. However, we've done it. We've done it a few times now. Mm-hmm. So every single time we engage with a customer, we go through a discovery process. And as we mature and as the product matures, that discovery process doesn't turn up stuff that we hadn't already predicted, or doesn't necessarily turn up stuff that we haven't seen with other customers. So obviously, as a SaaS platform, we're looking to build features that scale. Mm-hmm. But insurance and building core operating platforms, it's complex, and so there's always inevitably and understandably a little bit of kind of customization, new development that's required on a per customer basis. And given where we are in our growth journey, that's totally fine. The best thing that happens is when the customer wants something that's already on the roadmap.
Yeah, sure. Of course, right. Yeah,
and that happens often too.
And we'll come back to the roadmap, because I want to know about the future, and how AI is affecting all of our businesses, and and then how it plays a role for you guys at Simfuni. But coming back to that exposure that you have in corporate land, right? Because I think that's really interesting. So you've seen the opportunities and the challenges and the frustrations and the rest, right, from the inside. How does that experience and that exposure to all of the above map to the world that you're in right now?
How does it help with product development?
Yeah. From what you've seen, right? Because you'll have seen the inner workings.
Yeah, in lots of different ways. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is simply core operational platforms can either enable or be a massive barrier to innovation. So within the Simfuni team, we're a mighty team of engineers and technologists, but at the same time, we're also deeply passionate insurance people. And I think it's kind of the overlap of those two things where the secret sauce lies, because we have a mission that isn't just about building software. We understand the good that insurance does in everyday Kiwis' lives. I've personally been on the end of claims, handing over checks to people who have just lost loved ones. Like, we constantly as a team remind ourselves of the fact that actually the entire ecosystem does nothing important other than pay claims. That is all we do. And it's funny when you're a software company and you're dealing with young, fresh software engineers to have to keep reminding them, we've got to remind them that actually what we're doing here matters. And then, so how does that matter? How do we bring that mission to life? Has come, I think, a lot through the experience of working across the insurance industry, not just in corporate. It's an understanding about how we can drive value into these insurance companies. Like, what is the role that we play? Yeah. So from a product perspective, we've identified kind of 7 different value drivers, and we use those value drivers as part of our prioritization process when we're doing backlog, grooming, prioritization.
Can you give me an example of one of those?
Yeah, I can. Lots. So driving retention, increasing persistency is one. Compliance and strengthening control is another for insurance companies. Reducing the cost to serve and increasing efficiency. Being loved by ops is a mantra that we often talk about. Yeah, because
do you when you because these are internal, right? But do you expose those to your customers, right?
Yeah, they're on our website. Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. But I think it's good because it gives us a good framework for trying to decide of all the millions of things that we could be building right now.
Sure. Keep focus.
Yeah, what's the stuff that actually drives value? Yeah. And then also reminding the team, what's the point of driving value? Well, if the insurance companies, if we're driving value into the insurance companies, then they can do right by their customers.
And then come back to the roadmap. So going forward, we are I think we're in 2 worlds, right? So there's a definite kind of positivity around this kind of resurgence, refocus, the opportunities for incumbents to collaborate with externals. It feels really rich right now, and everybody's leaning in towards this, right? So it's a good space to be in. Yeah, it's a really the health of the market's coming back in a really positive way, right? Equally, we have AI that has the potential to change the world as we know it in incredible ways, right? From our kids' futures to our business futures, right? Where are you at in terms of your products, and how far are you looking in terms of this roadmap, and how defined is this feature set that you're going to take it forward to, and kind of what's on that journey that you're seeing?
Yeah, well, so the AI piece is, for a chief product officer, it kind of excites me, but also keeps me up at night.
Yep.
Because, there's always that sense of the thing that we spent so much time on last year could become obsolete next year. I think in terms of a core platform, an interesting thing I've been talking about with the team recently is, you watch. So we go into our customers' workplaces and we record their use of the platform over their shoulder, and we think about how they use it and number of clicks to achieve certain tasks and all the good things that you do thinking about UX design. And then, with policy management and AI agents, there are so many binary decisions being made and operated by a mouse where you think, actually, in the future, is a policy administration system a set of fields with data in them? Does it need to be? Like, what is the UI for a policy administration system in 3 to 5 years' time? It could actually just be, there is no such thing as an operator. All you actually have is a bunch of experienced QA people, effectively, who are subject matter experts. And so, and there are no fields, there are no kind of interfaces where people are interacting. It's just prompting and receiving back and prompting. So I've got an example that we've been playing around with recently around doing a policy split. So for those who are listening who know insurance operations, sorry, very boring, but doing a policy split is usually a very manual and arduous kind of task. 2 people divorce, they need their own policies, take one off here, put them over here, issue new schedules, new payments, all this kind of stuff. And so playing around with it, and an agent at the moment, it's like, well, I need to split these policies. Please give me what workflow steps need to be taken in order to do this. And then you have the operator who's now acting in a QA role come in and say, yeah, actually, that workflow that you've outlined for me looks good. Please go and execute. And then, all of those steps happen and they line up their comms, they line up the new policy schedules. And for me, that's a really interesting kind of concept to start to roll that out across all insurance interactions. And I just think insurance companies and operational teams look entirely different very, very quickly.
Tim, I love that. I even love the fact that as a relatively young new business, potentially you already have an advantage over those that have been here since 10 years ago as the first insurtechs in this space, right?
Yeah.
Because you have the ability to reimagine and experiment in this new world.
Well, it is about having that blank sheet of paper.
For sure.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So last thing, so if we were to, so we, as in the incumbents out there who are looking at Simfuni, we heard a little bit from Sean in terms of his kind of growth ambitions, his plans for the business. How do we best engage with you guys? How do we validate the opportunity that your product can bring to us as a business? What does a relationship look like in terms of those early stages of engagement with you guys?
Okay, so we actually, I think, have developed quite a good engagement process. It's quite a detailed, and we're also quite strict about people following it, because otherwise we found it doesn't work. So it always begins with the discovery process. So we're not selling small widgets here. We're selling big core operational platforms, and there always has to be this initial dance. And sometimes it could be that actually we're not fit for purpose, or sometimes it could be that we don't want to work for them either. So this discovery process is key. We send in our best people, and we actually spend proper time within the business. And I mean literally physically in the business, turning over every rock, making sure, understanding we describe them as epics. So we'll spend, a whole day on payments and a whole day on policy servicing, claims, underwriting. And so that engagement typically takes about 4 to 6 weeks. And then we'll write that entire piece up, do a current state, future state, give it back to the insurer, and then that's another gate for them to decide whether or not they want to work with us.
Love it.
It's critical to the process, because you really got to get to know each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's and that's beyond relationships, right? I mean, that's a let's make sure that this has legs, right? It's going to be a big old investment, and it's going to be a multi-year one. Look, I just want to say a big thank you. I think that was great. For any of you guys watching this who are operating in this space, check Simfuni out. New Zealand business, I guarantee you not for long, and probably possibly by the time this is aired, you've passed the Kiwi shores, right? So look, Tim, thank you very much for today.
Thanks.
It's a real pleasure.
Thanks, Matt.